Split with my naive boyfriend after his mom called me a fat SLT, broke into my house, and got arrested. So I've been dating this guy for about 4 months now. He's not my usual type as he's very naive and sheltered, whereas my life has been a joyous ride of how in the name of flapjacks did I survive that BS? He's nice and funny, we met at uni and for the most part it was fine. There were a few red flags, like his mum still irons and folds his undies and socks for him, but let's be real, people in their early 20s still living at home is not even a shocking thing anymore. I just think it's a bit psychotic to iron socks, but hey, that's just me. Anyway, on Saturday he went out for a lads' night with his friends. He hooks up with a girl, they have sex, and yesterday she messaged me on FB to basically say sorry I was drunk and slept with your BF. I had no idea he was in a relationship. I'm really sorry, I was fine with it. Thought it was nice for her to reach out and let me know. She's really cool. We chatted for a bit and decided to go grab a Costa together on Thursday. I like talking to her and we have a lot in common. This is completely platonic. I mentioned in my last post, monogamy isn't really my thing. Unless we've had a discussion and agreed to be monogamous, I do not care. I don't tend to sleep with people in general. I have a low sex drive due to pure exhaustion and cancer, so if you want it and I'm not up for it, go get it somewhere else, I don't care. Just use condoms and don't be with the same person multiple times because there is a difference between casual sex and multiple relationships. He gets home and I casually mention she messaged me and we've been talking and reassure him I don't mind that he slept with someone else, just would prefer in future he wears a condom and hope he wouldn't mind getting tested before we sleep together again. He was fine with all that and was really surprised with how well I took it, but I had discussed my feelings on monogamy with him before we started dating, so it wasn't a massive shock, like it was to the last prat. Then I make an offhanded joke saying next time you decide to sleep with a hot girl let me know and if I'm up for it maybe we can turn it into a threesome. It was said jokingly and I was 100% joking, and then he said, why would you want to sleep with another girl? This is where the overall stupidity kicks in. I remind him I am bisexual and he says exactly what it says in the title. With a really confused face, you're still bi? I thought you'd outgrow that when we started dating? He follows this up with, my mum said you would because bisexuality is just a phase. I face planted, threw my hand to my forehead so hard my butt jiggled from the force of the slap. It was just so ridiculously stupid for a 24-year-old male in 21st century Britain to be saying these kind of things. Like, I know you're naive, but do you not watch TV? Do you not go on social media? What in the name of RuPaul do you think sexuality is at 24 to think bisexuality is a phase? I didn't know what to say. I stood looking at him like he just sprouted another head out his armpit. And may I point out, this guy is doing BSc in sociology, a course I did for undergraduate, and know that sexuality and gender are two things very much covered in any sociology course. I was floored. It took me a few minutes to regain my composure and I realized I had two options: laugh at the sheer ridiculousness of a 24-year-old male having not only discussed my sexuality with his mom, but had believed her when she told him I'd grow out of it. Or I could try and explain sexuality to an adult sociology student. I knew the status of my relationship was at stake with whatever decision I made. I contemplated hard and then I laughed so hard my bladder nearly burst. Sorry, not the mature decision, but you know what? I don't care. It was freaking hilarious. He'd said it with such honest innocence. Look, I can live with his mum ironing his socks, and I can live with his mum still buying his clothes and taking him to get a haircut, because honestly, I have my own shortcomings, and if he can tolerate those I can tolerate his. But I will not live with someone being so clueless about sexuality. Maybe I'm the entitled one here, maybe I have too higher expectations of people. But hey ho. He of course got mad that I laughed at him. He started shouting, and I kid you not, he managed to fit my mum says mum said that and but my mum is into 145-ish second monologue 7 times. I will do a lot of things for love, but I won't compete with mummy. Frankly, I just didn't feel enough for him to even try. He grabbed his backpack, called his mum to come get him and left. That night, after chatting with the girl he slept with and laughing some more, his mother sent me this text: I cannot believe you would humiliate my son like that. You selfish stupid little BTCH. You are a fat, ugly SLT, who is using bisexuality, spelt just like that, as an excuse to WH around. I know your type and you've just thrown away the best thing you'll ever have with my son. My son deserves way better than a fat little SLT like you. You are scum. We will be coming tomorrow to get the rest of his things from your house, and I will be bringing my brother to deal with you if you try and pull anything. He knows how to deal with trash. If you try and steal anything, I will call the police. You had better be there when we get there. Scum. So yeah, not only did his mother break up with me for him, though I'd pretty much expected the breakup, she also called me some lovely names. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there. I had texted her back asking what time she'd be coming, ignoring everything else, and she didn't respond. No way in Hades was I waiting around all day for this lunatic, her brother and son, to turn up for his laptop, toothbrush and some random bits of clothes. This brings me to this morning. I popped all his stuff in a bag and left it by the front door, except his laptop, which was on the table next to the front door, just because I didn't want to break it. I do the school run for my sister every morning because she doesn't drive. Off we go at 8:20, we drop my gorgeous little nephew off at school at 8:50, get home for 9:30, having stopped at the shop on the way home as my sister needed to pick up a few bits for the boyo. Guess who is there waiting outside my front door? If you'd guessed the tantruming trio, you'd be right. If you'd guessed the police, you'd also be right. Most logical people. She's not home, guess we will have to wait or come back later. Entitled Mum with Serious Emotional Incest Issues? She's not in, we should break into her house. I get there and this witch is handcuffed in the back of a police car. My double-glazed stained glass window pane that has a rose decoration broken into sections by bits of metal looks as though it's gone 3 rounds with a rock, because it had, and my ex's uncle is shouting at the officer that I'm a thief and they were just coming to get what was my ex's. The officer reminds him even if they were trying to retrieve his property, breaking and entering is still a crime. The police officer then approaches me and says, "Good morning, miss. This gentleman says you had arranged for them to come collect this young man's possessions this morning, is that true?" I replied with no. Ex's mum sent me this message last night, shows phone, and did not reply with a time, but X knows I do the school run every day, so not sure why they chose now. The officer reads over my phone, calls over his colleague, and they go over to the witch in cuffs. They ask witch, "What did you mean when you told this girl your brother will deal with her?" Witch has started to babble, brother got very quiet and X just looked lost. Also, brother is basically the same height as me and I have more fat in one butt cheek than he does in his entire body. So I could definitely take him. I'm just completely bemused at this point. The officers come back over and explain because she was caught in the act, by police have attempted to break into my house. I do not have a choice about pressing charges, and ask if I'd like to add harassment and making threats to the list. I'm in the middle of a court case already due to a certain lunger and really don't have the mental capacity right now, so I decline. They take pictures of the damage, not that there was much. I give them X's stuff so he can leave and off they go. Once I clean the window, there is a tiny crack on the outside glass that did not affect the front pane. I'm now 15 stone lighter and getting a little flirty with the girl he slept with on Saturday. What I'm taking away from this relationship. If mummy irons his undies regardless of age, run, fast and far, and preferably with a pretty brunette in the future. Update 1. I feel it is only fair since so many people have reached out to share the absolute train wreck that my Costa date became, and as my new lady friend has pointed out, only a couple hundred-ish people are invested in it now. He. As those who read my first thread will remember, my delightful ex-boyfriend had, what I now know to be, pretty lousy sex with a lovely brunette on Saturday of last week. She messaged me on Tuesday having found out through the book of faces that we are a couple and apologized for sleeping with him. It wasn't an issue, I'm not really monogamous and she was hot, I got why he went there. We got chatting and decided to meet up at Costa on Thursday and spent most of Tuesday and Wednesday chatting. She lived for the psycho mama drama that I got hit with when ex-beau's mummy broke up with me for him, after I'd laughed at him for thinking his adequately sized man's stick would cure me of my bisexuality. Mother dearest then attempted to break into my house, in the dumbest way possible, and got herself some shiny new metal bracelets. Reasons it was dumb, you might ask? Well, first of all, something I had forgotten about, X knows the combination to my key safe. So he could have legitimately let himself into my house, got his belongings from the front door, and left. No harm, no foul. Second, the layout of my front door, well, there is a door with a lovely rose design with metal crossing it. Next to my front door is an ordinary glass window the same size as my door. This genius of a woman attacked my door window, not the window next to it. The delightful gentleman that came to assess my window said that had she attacked the window, not the door window, she'd have broken through easily. The door has reinforced glass. Third, and I only learned about this yesterday, Mother of the Year, took a bite out of a police officer. So bye-bye mummy, see you in 5 to 7. From what I was told during my date, mummy has earned a nice little ankle bracelet until court. I'm not sure of the exact details, but hey ho, not my circus. So now we get to the nitty-gritty. The date itself. Everything was fine, she looked beautiful, I looked, well, like me. I got the new Aero caramel hot chocolate, she got a cappuccino. We are sat down, my back to the door, a few minutes in she lets out this adorable little half-gasp half-chortle. She's staring behind me, so I whip myself around and guess who I see? If you guessed the Great By Slayer, you'd be right. If you'd guessed Uncle Baguette, you'd also be right. I'd told X about my meeting with Brunette and he'd decided, in his infinite wisdom, to come along and try reason with me. I look back at date, she's excited, we had already established that she is a drama whore, and this was already better than, Corey, it's a soap opera. X comes over and the conversation goes something like this. EX, M me, B Brunette, you be Uncle Baguette. The description is in the last post as to why he's called that. E, hey can we talk M? I don't think we have anything to talk about E, we need to talk about us M. There is no us, you broke up with me B, well technically his mother did, smirking, E, yeah but I'm not controlled by my mother and I should have a say about our relationship M. Our relationship is over. Your say became irrelevant when you let your mother attempt to smash my door in. You B, in an annoyed angry tone, she was only trying to protect him from you stealing his stuff. Q I roll from me and B. E, look we both made mistakes, can't we just go somewhere and talk about this together? B, no you can't, she's moved on and if you don't mind, you are disturbing our date. Well at this point E looked like he'd just been slapped, UB looked like he wanted to slap me and I was just done. E then asks, this is a date? I thought you were just hanging out? B replying for me, well yeah, Turns out your magical penis failed to knock the gay out of me too, so we figured why not? Thanks for giving me such a glowing recommendation, by the way. I'm a little bit in love with her at this point. I kid you not, she said it in the smuggest voice possible while I tried not to choke on my marshmallows, not a euphemism. He stammered, stuttered and just kinda blinked a lot like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Baguette at this point is raging, like if this was a cartoon, steam would be coming out of his ear, but being the smart little breadstick he is, he kept quiet and threw us a look that Sheldon Cooper would have been envious of. Honestly, I kinda feel bad for poor X. He's got a lunatic for a mother, a stickman for an uncle and really no clue what the real world is like. He just kind of exists in his sock-ironed bubble. At this point I knew it was time to go before things escalate. My darling drama-digging date had provoked Uncle Chopstick enough and I just had no more time for these people. I stand up and politely said excuse me to Uncle Dearest. Despite his clear fury, properly trained British people tend to break out in hives if they aren't a little polite. I once had a meltdown because the random driver must think I'm so atrociously rude for not waving back to him after he let me pass. Honestly, it haunts me to this day. We leave and decide to go get fish and chips from the beachfront and have a lemon-topped, Mr. Whippy. I own none of these pictures, by the way. There, just off Google. We were at the point when we were about to drive home when my phone exploded. Not literally, of course, that'd be terrifying. But the warrior beast had awoken by her precious boy's despair. Dun dun dun. It was basically the same as yesterday. WH/Rees, SL/TS, C/NTS. Some lovely, I'm going to destroy your worthless lives were thrown in there and I'm going to burn your house downs. She's on an ankle monitor because of me. I've ruined her precious little Didim's life. He's a broken shell of a man. I'm an evil harpy from hell. I hope cancer kills you. This literally goes on for 2 hours. I switched my phone to silent and mostly ignore them, though we do check every so often to see if they're still coming. Then she said the one thing that really made me see red. She said she hopes my nephew dies. I saw blood. If Brunette hadn't been with me, I think I'd have gone to her house and made a necklace out of her teeth. After some soothing words from B, I called the lovely boy in blue that I'd spoken to the previous day, explained what was going on and decided, despite the overall exhaustion I'm likely going to feel, that I'm pressing charges for harassment and, I think he called it malicious communication? Who knows, I'm sure I'll find out soon. He came by once we were back at my place, went through my phone, diddled with some stuff and said I'd have to come into the station on Monday to do other stuff I'm not quite clear on. Honestly, while all this was going on, it felt like an angry lioness was prowling around inside me, ready to jump on the neck of the next thing that approached. Same feeling I got when my nephew came home from school crying because a boy in his class threw away his crystal and now he couldn't find it. I was legit ready to throw down with a 4-year-old. Instead, I bought my nephew 16 new crystal necklaces. My recently departed Nana told him crystals heal, so he has become obsessed with having one on him at all time. I think it's a grief response. He will sit there and talk to her ashes while holding his crystal. It's cute but also a little creepy. He's been teaching her how to play the PlayStation recently. I think we need to get him a therapist. Or a dog. You think it's all over? She's got the police after her. X knows I'm over it. What more is there to be done? Darling, we forgot about the walking beanpole. What's the best way to get back at someone your family is currently harassing for calling the police? Slash their tires, of course. Well, those reading creepy lunger will remember my nifty dashcam. It's motion activated. Now he's been arrested too. Emotionally incestuous mummy has been arrested. X tried to message me again this morning, which quite cruelly I replied with go crawl back inside your mummy and leave me the hell alone before promptly blocking him, and all is right in the world. As for me and B, you might ask? I'm not sure. It depends on how much drama her soul needs to survive. If she is someone that creates it to fulfill their own daily drama doses, she'll be gone. But for now she's currently in the living room cuddling my cat. I'll let you know things go once our first date ends. Update 2. My tires were slashed by Uncle Groot. Mumsy was arrested for multiple things, mostly just being a lunatic with emotional incest issues. Oh, and assault. And X had been told to go crawl back inside your mummy and leave me the hell alone. So what more could possibly go wrong, right? Well, here's a catch up on what's happened in the last 11 days. We shall start with Mama since it's the shortest. Mama went to the big house, decided it wasn't for her and tried to check out by purchasing something I'm not privy to and ODing. Either that or she thought when in Rome, do Dr. / someone's carried up their $1 and that shiz went bad. She's currently in hospital. I do not have a massive amount of details on what's what, or what will happen when she's discharged, as the police have mentioned psychiatric evaluation, which is desperately needed. I agree. Despite everything, I wish her well and hope she gets the help she needs, or the attention she craves. Do I believe it was a genuine suicide attempt? Not personally, but I was also raised by a narcissist, so I'm always skeptical about narcissists' attempts on their lives. Regardless, I hope she gets help. How do I know about Mama's odd, you might ask? Well, Wonder Kid showed up on my doorstep on Saturday, drunk as a skunk, and ended up spending the night in my spare room. He was completely blotted. He went through the entire drunk scale. One night he was angry, then he was telling me how much he still loved me, Then he was suggesting a threesome with B and I, and then he passed out on the spare bed. B and I rolled him over and put a Kylie sheet under him to keep the mattress protected in case of accidental bladder release and left him be. Sunday morning comes and he was not alright. The events of Uncle Butthead happened the day after Mama OD'd, so X was pretty overwhelmed. Look, X is like a chick that's fallen from his nest. He doesn't know how to fly yet, doesn't know how to feed himself, and without someone to look after him he'd probably be eaten by a cat. I feel for him, I really do. He just kinda got caught in his mother and uncle's bat crap craziness. He has made mistakes for sure, so have I. He's so innocent, I shouldn't have gone there with him, to be honest. We were never compatible, but I was grieving and he was nice. He's got no choice not to be a mama's boy now and is spinning out. We found him a counselor online because our uni services have a long waiting list. He honestly truly believed his mother would sort everything for her precious baby. He honestly thought Uncle would do what he did. He cried a lot, and B and I did our best to console him. But his life has been more or less torn apart by all this. He's thinking of transferring his credits down south, so he can live with his sister. She's a genuinely mature adult who is NC with mama for a reason. She'd be good for him. But that's his journey. I wish him well, and believe me, sober, the amusement that his ex and his one-night stand were together had him laughing despite the madness. I think he's had some time away from the devil on his shoulder, he's seeing sense. I can only hope the best from him from here on out. B and I? Well, we are together. She's crazy, I'm crazy, we both have terrible taste in men, it just works. It's still only like 2 or 3 weeks in, but it's nice and relaxing. She's not as drama-seeking as I'd feared. She enjoys drama as much as Reddit does, but she's pretty level-headed and kind. We shall see. I'm not holding out for a happily ever after, but she makes me feel sexy again, which is a feat, as anyone going through cancer treatment will tell you. For now, she's what I need and my cat likes her. I've not introduced her to nephew though. I'm sure many Redditors will be happy to hear nephew is in therapy and would be doing fine if he didn't have the pox. Poor baby looks like he lost a fight with a beehive. Thankfully, all us adults had them as kids and are safely unaffected, though I start to itch every time I look at him. Update 3. Uncle Brain Damage was charged and released. He made a deal to pay me back for the tires in full, and I took it because I'm a broke uni student and money. It would have taken way too long to get the money back going through court, so it just seemed easier. He is now in custody, so let's get on with that part of the story. I have older brothers. They're basically useless lumps of men who ride horses and play PlayStation. It's gotten to the point where if they aren't attached to a remote or a horse, I don't recognize them. They be small, cause they be jockeys. Fun fact about jockeys, they are freakishly strong for such tiny humans. So Uncle Whippet decides that if he can't take his beef up with me, he's going to take it up with my brothers, because he's clearly a mature gentleman, not a high school student. Did I mention that this tall glass of week-old water is in his 40s? But being the coward he is, he's not going to confront two small freakishly strong gamers. No, the great intelligence decides that whilst my brothers were riding out with a bunch of other riders coming back from the gallops, to drive up behind them and start blaring his horn. No, for those who don't know this basic information, you don't do that. Horses get startled very easily, buck, kick and generally run for dear life when scared. If you did this from the front, maybe since they can see you they'd be scattery but controllable, or they'd be freaked out. These weren't yearlings, so they are used to being on the road, but coming up from behind and basically scaring the hell out of them is a big no-no. A sad fact about horses: broken legs are extremely hard to heal. You have to suspend a horse for weeks in a stable and basically stop them from doing anything they do. It is difficult, time-consuming and expensive. That's if surgery is even able to realign the bone. For professional race horses, most of the time it's just not viable to keep them alive after a break. This was the case for one of the horses startled in the process of this disgusting moron's revenge. He ran, sunk into a ditch on one side, went down and it was over. The local vet came and put him down on the side of the road. From the little I got from my very devastated brothers, the bone was showing and moving him would have been torture. I've not asked for any more details. I do know that had the police not gotten to the useless bag of bones, he'd probably have been compost. I live in a very horsey community. The only thing worse than hurting a horse is hurting a child, and you better believe it's a don't think, just run and put as many miles between you and this town as possible situation if you do. By some stroke of grace none of the riders were seriously injured. One girl did dislocate her shoulder, but that was about as serious as it got. Uncle Dirtbag has been charged with a number of things including dangerous driving, attempted murder and animal cruelty. You don't live round here without knowing how to act around horses, you just don't. Currently there is a wait time on that and I'll have basically nothing to do with it. He did apparently say something about wouldn't have to come after her brothers if she wasn't a C/NT, but that's third or fourth hand, so I can't tell you if it is true or not. As you can imagine, I am horrified by this entire thing and devastated for the horse. I truly regret not going for full charges, but he likely would have been out either way, so not sure it would have made a difference. No blowback has come to me about this. My brothers are just extremely angry that I didn't tell them about everything in the first place. Who knew they could get so overprotective? The brother bears are definitely prowling, and that is everything up until now. Sorry it's not the lighthearted tale of woe everyone was expecting, but even I can't make what's happened funny. It's just been one of those weeks and I'm mentally too exhausted to try. But alas, I doubt it's the end, so I will update if anything more occurs, and maybe if you're all extra nice, I may regale you with some stories of my own entitled Narcissist of a Mother and her antics. Small highlights include the time she was caught shoplifting from charity because she needs it more, the time she took us on holiday on her ex's card then was shocked Pikachu when he kicked her out, or the time Santa died. For now, as Porky would say, that's all folks. Update 4. Over the last year my cancer treatment has turned my small intolerance into serious allergies. Part of the reason I stopped posting on Reddit so much is because I've been really struggling with my health, and this has been the worst part. Before dairy would give me the toots, these days dairy gives me V&D. Before lemon would give me a stomach ache and sometimes headache, these days reactions have varied from violently sick to hives to breathing issues. Before I would not care on special occasions and treat myself. These days I drive past the Mr. Whippies looking sad. My doctor says over time the allergies could settle down, but it's likely I am stuck like this for good. Allergies suck almost as much as the cancer. Update 5. I don't really have one on me and Bae. There were a couple of flying monkey attacks after the fact, and I admit I shouldn't have left her so far from home in the rain, but she's been with me through my treatment. She's seen how sick I've got. I've lost over 6 stone in the last 8 months. I've gone from being obese to almost underweight. I miss my wobbly bits now, everything's saggy from excessive weight loss. She couldn't understand the issues I had with that night. As many pointed out, I used to love lemon. Now even the idea of it gives me hives, never mind what the taste does to me. I couldn't deal with her drama on top of my own and my health. My brothers have moved in with me and are helping out now. My other ex is doing so well, like he's out from under his mom, he's getting therapy, he's changed his career trajectory from mummy's plan to something he adores. I honestly don't recognize the man I wrote about in my original post all those months ago. I'm so proud of him. He's one of my best friends and has been a massive support through everything. Uncle Matchstick is in prison. He took a plea, got 7 years for pleading guilty to a couple different things, not going to name them as it was in the paper and could lead to him being identifiable. He's also lost his license and had to pay a massive fine that selling his house unlikely won't cover. And mama's gone to wherever narcissists go when they die. Heart gave out. Apparently it was peaceful. I didn't attend the funeral and haven't really spoken about her much at all since. X is doing alright. He felt guilty at the start for not being there, but his therapist and family got him through it. Sorry I'm not as good with my storytelling right now. Exhaustion is not good for the creative mind.